Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Oh my gosh, I have been recording this intro and I'm recording it again. I have been recording this intro for the last hour. It's like, I'm surprised I haven't thrown something. Like I am so frustrated at this point because I've had to find like the correct spot to record the video. I have a very small limited space to work with, so I've been just struggling with this. Hopefully, this one will be okay. Hello, how are you guys? I hope that you guys are keeping well. Thank you to all my new subscribers. You guys are the bomb.com. I really appreciate every single one of you. I'm so excited. I'm releasing a few videos this week. I have two that are going to be Jasminite videos, and I'm so excited about that. I am waiting for a few supplies. So I guess I just have to be patient before producing those videos because I'm heavily relying on that to produce the videos. So I just have to be patient. Please bear with me. In today's video though, I'm going to be making some cupcake topper shakers and I'm so excited for that. I do apologize if my video is a little in spots. It's a bit overexposed. I am sitting by a window and the sunlight is coming to the left of me and we are in our winter season here in South Africa. Yeah, I've just had to play around with it and try to get it just right. But anyway, I'm so excited for this video. I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope you find it helpful. If you do, please do let me know in the comments. I love responding to your comments. Anyway, with that being said, let's get right into the video. Okay, so as always, our journey begins in Silhouette Studio. And as you can see, I've got my elements along the cutting mat here. And I've decided to go with just a very basic design, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys how I designed this and what is going on here. Okay, so just one thing to keep in mind, when you are designing things that have text in it, just remember to weld everything together. That's really important. Otherwise, it's just going to fall apart. So just keep that in mind. But today, my design is really, really simple. So I'm just going to show you how I did this and what is going on here. So I've upgraded to the business edition of Silhouette Studio. So I've got access to more shapes over here. So I saw this little star and I was like, I have to do something with the star. It just looks so cool. So if you don't have the star, you can always go on to Google and you can just search for star SVG and I'm sure there'll be a ton that will pop up. But obviously your design might be different, so you might not need to worry about that. But anyway, I started by grabbing my little star shape tool and then I just drew a star. And then I didn't change the corners. I left it at 5, but I did, with this little red button, I just pulled it in just a little bit more. Okay, and then I filled this. So this is the base of my cupcake topper. So I'm going to fill that. I was thinking to do the base with a pink color. So I'm going to fill it with pink so that I don't get confused. Let's fill it with a bit of a lighter pink. And I didn't do any exact measurement for this. So basically all I did to measure this was count 4 blocks down on my cutting mat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It is a little bit bigger than 4 blocks. So I'm just going to pull it in a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks good. And that's basically how I measured it. Okay. If you're like me and you get confused and you're not too sure what cardstock needs to be what, you can always use your little notes here. You can just write a note there and put pink cardstock. Okay, make a little note for yourself if you want to. You don't have to. You don't have to do this. But sometimes I find this really helpful. And then you can just move it over on your elements. Select them both and just put them to one side so that you know what needs to be cut out of pink cardstock, glitter, whatever the case is. When you do go to cut it, just remember to delete the note or just take the note out. Okay, so now that we've got the base, Let me just see. Let me just delete that. Okay. So this is the base of my cupcake topper. And then all I did was take, I'm going to be doing, I think it's 3 or 4 different layers for this cupcake topper. So what I did then was just copy this. So I pressed Control C and Control V on my keyboard. I lined it up with the base of my cupcake topper, and then I just used Shift. I held down Shift on my keyboard and I clicked and dragged just to make it a little bit smaller. And then I positioned it within the base of my cupcake topper. And this part I'm going to make silver because I'm going to be cutting this out with silver glitter cardstock. Okay, so there you can also make a note if you need to, so you know what cardstock to put in your machine. But this is really simple, so I didn't really need to do that. If you're creating more complicated designs, that's something you might need to do. So this is going to be silver glitter cardstock, and then I just, again, duplicated this. So I clicked on the silver star, and then I just pressed Control C, Control V, aligned it with the silver, and then held down Shift, click and drag, and made that just a little bit smaller. And then I positioned it within that star. Okay, this is not precise measurements. I'm just kind of showing you what I did. So now for this one, this is going to be the base for the confetti, if that makes sense. So you'll see when I go to assemble the topper, it will make more sense. So for this one, I decided to go with a light purple. So I'm just going to make that like a light purple, and this will be the base. And then I clicked, okay, so this is where things get a little more complicated because we do need to create this star, and this is going to be an offset star. We're going to be sticking acetate there to achieve the shaker effect. Okay, so I'm going to use this star and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to duplicate it. And then we're going to give this star an offset. So this is going to be the base. I hope this is making sense. That's going to be the base. And this is going to be the offset where the acetate, we'll stick the acetate at the bottom of the star. So for my offset, this is really important. So I really struggled to get foam tape. The strips of foam tape. So I had to really just make do with what I had. So I got little square pieces of foam tape at P&A, and you'll see them in a second. I'll show you when we go to assemble the cake topper, or sorry, the cupcake topper. I got little squares. So I had to make the offset the width of my foam tape, okay, so that we can hide it and you don't see foam tape, you know, peering out of the sides, if that makes sense. You will see when I go to assemble it what I mean. Okay, so my little squares measured in at about 5 millimeters. So I decided to make the offset for the star 6.5 millimeters so that I can hide the foam tape underneath it. Okay, so we can just go to the offset panel, and then we can click on internal offset. So I didn't give this an external offset. I gave it an internal offset, and I gave it an offset of about 6.5. And then always remember to click the sharp corners if you want that. And then you can click apply. And then what I did is, let's just close this panel quickly. Then what I did is I clicked and dragged over both of these objects because they're not welded together or anything like that. I clicked and dragged over both of them, and then I made it a compound path. So I right click and I made it a compound path because this is I want it to be one shape, if that makes sense. Okay, so that is going to go over the base, and this over here in the center, that's where the acetate sheet will be. So now this is obviously very different to the elements I have here, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea of how I created this. Okay, so I think that is it. And I also then duplicated this. I copied, pasted it, and this I will change the color of that to, I don't know, it doesn't matter what color it is, because this is going to be my acetate sheet that I'm going to cut out, okay? Again, if you need to make notes, do it, because I get easily confused and I'm like, oh gosh, what is this and what is that? What am I supposed to, what material do I use with this? So do make notes if you need to, but this is a very simple design, so I didn't need to do that. And that's basically how I created this. So these are my different layers and the different material that I'll use to cut out. I hope that this has made sense. Now that that is ready, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out of my Cameo, and then we're going to go and we're going to assemble it. I will talk about the cut settings when we go to assemble the cake topper. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to mention is the cut settings I used for each material. Bear in mind, settings may be different for you depending on how sharp your blade is. If your blade is brand new, try dimming down your settings. If your blade does not cut through the material with these settings, then just up them. So first up is acetate. I used a blade of 10, a force of 33, and a speed of 3. I only went over this in one pass. For the AC textured cardstock, I used a blade of 6, force of 30, and a speed of 4. I went over it once. For my glitter cardstock, I used a blade of 6, a force of 33, and a speed of 3. I went over this once as well. So here is the foam tape I was talking about. This is the Heritage brand. This was about 28 Rand at P&A, super cheap. If you're wondering what foam tape is, it's basically a sort of double-sided tape used to make 3D projects. Double-sided tape will not work for this type of project just because the adhesive on double-sided tape is too strong. But if you manage to get it to work, let me know. I couldn't find the strips of foam tape, so I decided to go with what I could find. In the end, it worked out. So all I'm going to do is add some foam tape to the back of my glitter cardstock and then to the AC textured cardstock. Okay, so over here, I was kind of just showing you where the acetate is going to go. So it's going to go at the bottom of our offset, as I'm showing you here. And then I'm just going to glue that together to create the shaker effect. Next up, I'm going to add some Bostik glue to my offset piece, and I'll glue the acetate onto that. Next comes the really tedious part, and I believe this would have been a lot quicker if I had the strip of foam tape. So if you can get your hands on some of that, grab it, because it does make these types of projects a bit easier. Now I'm just going to position the foam tape on the back of the offset piece with the acetate on. I really took my time with these so I could make sure that the tape was straight and not sticking out on the sides. You'll see me flip the piece over a few times, and that's because I was checking to see if the foam tape was on properly and not sticking out on the sides. Bear in mind, for the shaker effect, the tape needs to be enclosing each corner. So if it isn't, your confetti will fall out. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I then repeated this process for the other toppers. Okay, and our foam tape is on. So next I am going to add the glitter. I decided to go with glitter. It's a chunky holographic glitter. I got it from Resin Supplies SA, and I decided to go for this because I couldn't find any confetti that I liked or that would go with this particular topper that I wanted to create. So I just thought I'd add some glitter, and it turned out really, really pretty. So to add the glitter, I just put a very little into a little spoon that I had and placed it in the middle. I don't want to get any glitter on the sides because that's where I'm going to be sticking the foam tape, and I don't want the glitter to stick to the foam tape. After adding the glitter, then I removed the sheeting from the foam tape to expose the adhesive, and then I just positioned that to align with the part that's underneath the glitter. Do take your time with this. I tried to just be as careful as I could so that I line up everything correctly. So after I assembled all of that, I am now going to add the finishing touches. So I've let my hot glue gun warm up, and I'm going to just add little toothpicks, and this obviously just helps it stand in the cupcake, if that makes sense. So I just added some hot glue at the back, and then I put a toothpick on it, and I also just added a bit of extra glue just to make it stable. You can add whatever you want. You can even cover the toothpick with an extra layer of cardstock if you feel like you don't like the look of the hot glue and stuff. For me, it doesn't really bother me, so I just decided to go with that. That is it for this video. They turned out really cute. I love them so much. I'm so in love with them. I really think this is such a fun project. I had so much fun making this. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next craft video. Have a good one. Bye.